Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. I want to thank you for tuning in and watching us on YouTube. If you're watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch and be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunt Hangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunt Hangar Forum, you can find a link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench, which is right below In Memory of Our Friends. Now, if you're not a member, or if you're not logged into the Stunt Hangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. If you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address, or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunt Hangar will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in, but just enjoy watching us on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. Please enter your questions or comments in the chat box over here, and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. And understand, sometimes even I can't get a word in myself, so be patient, and I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comment. And by the way, your comments or questions can only be made during a live stream. So like I said, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, if you find the Stunt Hangar Video Hangouts that I host, or the many building videos, the Saturday at John videos, the contest coverage videos that Sparky does on this platform, informative and enjoyable, please hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe, and when you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all, so that whether myself or Sparky comes on, you'll be notified. Share the videos, comments on the videos. All these activities help the Stunt Hangar YouTube channel membership grow and the channel grow. Please consider joining Stunt Hangar's YouTube channel memberships. Right below, there's a blue button. If you're not already a member, hit the join button. And it's a 3-tier system, and the lowest tier is only $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. And by the way, I'm a member myself. I have the $4.99 come out of my own checking account each and every month, and I don't miss it, and I suspect you won't miss it either. Plus, we'll be supporting the hobby that we hopefully love and enjoy. And plus, with your memberships, you'll get access to member-only videos that you only can find, I believe, on Sparky's channel, unlimited access to those videos, and once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. Now, this is Sparky's YouTube channel that I am streaming this from. I have my own channel. It's called Flying Control Line Stunt. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. So if you want to get in touch with me, go to my YouTube channel, Flying Control Line Stunt. All the letters are there. And if you locate the 2019 AMA National Championship video, which is a video which Sparky shot with his video camera of me flying his beautiful Junar XL, and I'll receive a notification and be able to respond to you quickly. I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversations family, room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your own children and grandchildren. And without any further ado, I'm going to now post a link at stunthangar.com. And that's how you get into the show. You go to the At the Bench link there and click on the link which has today's date, and that's how you get in. Right now, I'm going to transition to the YouTube channel and go to what I call the control panel. So just bear with me while I do that. And with my slow computer or slow internet, I'm not sure what's going on. Pardon me, I have a little bit of a healing going on in my throat. So I might turn away to blow my nose and clear my throat. So just bear with me until this thing passes, which hopefully won't be too long. Now let's see here. I'm just doing a few little bit of editing here, and just give me a moment and we will be off and running. Hopefully we have a good show today, tonight. And right now we have 14 concurrent viewers. That's a good start. We have 9 likes. So the 5 of you that have not hit the like button, please smash that like button. That really helps in the analytics of the show. And so my hope is that those of us who do like planes, will have a recommended view on our home feed. And hopefully this show will be one of those recommended views. So that's why I'm asking you to hit the thumbs up button. Now in the chat, I already see that Dennis Adamison says, hello, Charles, and the chat room, like delivered, will join you shortly. Thank you, Dennis. He's also a member. I can tell by there's a special icon next to his name. Those that are supporting patrons, that's how they show up. And we appreciate that, Sparky and I. We definitely do. We know you guys are an integral part of us continuing. Tom Rammel says, like provided. And P. says, like sent. Hi, guys. And John Shukalek says, got your like, Charles. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, P. And thank you, Tom Rammel. And Gary Sinclair, who's also a supporting patron. He also provided a like. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. And Paul Miller, he's also a member of our YouTube channel. He says, I have a question on the old Fox 35. There are parts you can add, like the new sleeves and pistons. What are they, and what is the material originally in the engine? Hope that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. I have a little bit of healing going on in my nose and throat, but other than that, I'm doing all right. And Caffeine, thanks for coming in, Caffeine.
Hi, guys.
You're the second one in here from Indonesia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what time is it there?
It's 10 in the morning.
7 in the morning. All right. Appreciate that. So anybody doing any flying or working in the shop lately?
I did fly last weekend. I did like on Saturday and Monday, because Monday it was a public holiday in Indonesia. So yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I've done some flying. Yeah, in total like six flights, I guess. Not that much, but yeah, it's more than I could do. Like, normally I could only fly on Saturday, and like I only have like 3 to 4 flights, but last weekend I had like 6 flights, and my last flight was a joy, actually.
Oh man, that's great. I understand that feeling. I get that. And I'm sure Gary gets that too.
I've got that very, very nice and stable engine run, good tension, good lap times, and for the first time I could do the lazy 8 with confidence.
Nice.
It wasn't luck. It was like, okay, I'm gonna do the lazy 8, and it happened. Like I did it like 6 or 7 times,
great.
on a flight. So yeah.
That is fantastic. That's definitely a what I want to say. It's like a marker of improvement to get to that point.
I've overcome my fear to do those those inside and outside.
Yeah.
But the ship is still all over the place. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice to make it perfect. But yeah, I got the feeling.
You got the feeling. That is good.
Yeah, yeah,
That is great. That is great. Yeah, just keep doing it and then just lengthen it
yeah,
out, because as you're doing it, you're flying inverted.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
get more used to it,
Yes.
and just keep stretching it out.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you'll
Yep.
stretch it out all the way around, and then you'll be like, wow, and then you'll recover because you'll be so excited. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get to go further, maybe go around a couple times and then get excited. After a while, you don't get excited anymore. And that's kind of when you
Yeah.
fly inverted.
Yeah, yeah. I get that. And yeah, well, since yeah, I've tried several approach, like straight arm, relaxed arm, and how to do the loops. And yeah, I've got the one that fits me, I guess. It's since I apply uh that that approach, I could do much better maneuvers now.
Very good, man. That's great. That's exciting. Hey, Keith Trossel,
Hey.
thanks for coming in, Keith.
Yeah, hi, Keith.
Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So how you doing, Keith?
Fine. Big job starting to look like a big job.
All right. Well, I hope maybe you can show it later on. We get some more people in here.
Okay.
That'd be great. I saw your comment on someone had wanted some information on your movable rudder, and then you responded on the Stunt News article, which had the your
Yeah.
your article about that. And I'm sure I had that article. I just had to locate it. I think it said it was in 2008. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'll go
so
check.
I know I've read it. Yeah, so that's something I hope to try out myself. So have you been doing any flying or anything, Keith?
It's been snowing
Okay.
and blowing.
Okay.
Did you have
Yeah.
wind today there?
This morning for a while.
So we have Mark Gerber making his way in here.
How about you, Charles? Do you have wind today?
It wasn't too bad. Actually,
Okay.
probably would have been a good day to fly. It was a little bit windy, but the plane that I've been flying lately, the Bodak 40, it really doesn't seem to be hampered too much by the wind, or at least the kind of wind that I saw today would not have been an obstacle for me to fly. I just had things in my way, life
Yeah.
getting in my
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So I hope to get out there maybe as soon as Thursday and Friday for sure. And hey, Mark Gerber, thanks for coming in.
Hey, Charles,
Hi, Mark.
everybody else.
Good. Hey,
Go ahead, Caffeine. Go ahead.
another thing besides that flying on the weekend, I also got myself a prowler.
Oh, good for you. That's a good flying ship. I've heard. I haven't flown a Prowler, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a good deal for me because it's like $120.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the price hike on products, kits and ARF. So when I saw that prowler offered for 120, I just bought it without thinking any further.
Yeah, good move. Now, who
Yeah.
kitted this?
It's from Aerosmith.
Okay. I
Mhm.
know that. I know that that's kind of hard to find that kit.
Yeah, there must not be many of those left around.
Yeah.
It's about
And
as old as
it's-
it's about as old as you are, Kiffy.
Yeah. I guess so.
Very good. So, Mark, did you do any work in your shop? I know Keith is his big job is looking more like a big job. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm still sanding away on my Bearcat, trying to fix all the little dings and dents, and spent the day getting the stencils ready or the masks ready for the insignia and the numbers, and took the file to a local sign shop, and tomorrow I'll find out what I get.
All right. Well, there's a question. I don't want to make too much longer, but Paul Miller asked, and maybe you guys might know. He has a question about the old Fox 35. And he says there are parts that you can add, like new sleeves and pistons, and what are they, and what is the material originally in the engine, and hope that makes sense. So I think he's asking about the stuffer plate and all that stuff. You can fix up your Fox 35. What's that all about? Do you guys know?
I've never run a Fox 35.
How about you, Mark? You ever ran 35s, Fox 35s?
Yeah, a long time ago, but I never messed around with the stuffer back plate or the Hemi head or.
Yeah, I know
those
they
other
have
things.
they have ceramic sleeves available, and maybe special pistons. Hey, Mark Wise, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Hey, Charles. Hey, guys.
I
And Howard Rush, welcome, Howard. Thanks for coming in.
Hi.
Howard, maybe Mark, you might even know. There's a question in the chat box by Paul Miller. He's asking about those modification parts you can get for a Fox 35. You know, the ceramic sleeves and stuffer plates and all the high Zootin stuff you can add to a Fox. Do you know about that stuff, you guys?
Not much, no.
Not me.
Okay, well, maybe Jeff Riley, if you're listening, maybe you can chime in.
Actually, I got mine now. Let me fetch it.
And then Jonathan Carradis goes on to say to you, Caffeine, he says, hi, Charles, Gary, Keith, and Caffeine. Well done, Caffeine. That lazy 8 is a hallmark moment. You are now hooked for life. Yeah, that's pretty much one of the hooks, definitely.
Yeah.
When you can do that maneuver, you're like, because that's when you really, you can stay still with the loop, but once you're doing the lazy 8s,
Mhm.
you're just standing there and you're taking up, I'm not sure how big your figure 8s are, but you can take up half the circle and just
Yeah.
relax. So that's pretty cool. And look who else joined us. Come on in. Thank you, Stuart, for coming in. Appreciate it.
What you got there, Howard?
Let me look at Howard's Fox 35.
This is a Fox 35 that Don McClave. It's got a
Oh, there you go.
head on it, and I think that's a stuffer back plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. A high zoot crankshaft. I think the point of the high zoot crankshaft is it won't break. I haven't heard of Fox 35 crankshafts breaking. I guess they do.
Yeah, I never had heard of that either.
It's got a cool needle valve too. So,
All right, cool.
yeah.
Don flew those for a long time in almost every classic airplane he built.
Yeah, well, they're authentic. The basic box is authentic. All the trickery isn't.
Thank you very much. And I think the ceramic sleeve, I think did they have an iron sleeve before or steel sleeve?
They did before, yeah.
So it must lighten it up quite a bit and probably a better fit. I imagine you can use less oil, less caster, I imagine. So anyways, so what's been up with you, Mark? What you been up to?
I've been coughing sawdust.
Oh, that's a good sign. That means you've been working in your shop.
Yeah, I'll bring up what I've been working on. I'm getting ready to join the 2 wing halves on the my modified Impact, and realized it would be easier to do the tips now rather than join the wing. So, so I'm working on that and looking at the scale each time I do some more sanding. But I'll tell you what I found handy. I have a hand orbital sander. I think it's a Makita. It's fairly small.
Yeah.
With maybe an 80 grit piece of paper on it. And it really does a nice job at taking this big block of balsa and getting the shape to the outside anyway. So
So did you start with the sanding with the rectangular shaped box, or did you already, use a knife to kind of get it?
Yeah, I did some knife. I put a 1/4 inch piece of tape around the outside because I didn't want to round that part because I have to set in the tip guide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I used one of the long, was it a 26 X-Acto blade?
26
yeah.
good carving blade. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went to the sander, and it doesn't have a dust collector other than me. So,
Yeah.
but it's getting there, and you all know what a tip looks like. But I'll go downstairs and get it. It makes me feel good that I'm making progress again.
Yeah.
Keith is giving me so many assignments. I barely have time anymore. I'll be right back.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, Lynn Burrell, thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, how are you, Charles?
Hi, Lynn.
Doing
Hey,
well.
guys.
Hi, Len.
That's good. Hey,
What you been up to, Lynn?
building hard and heavy.
All right.
Well, not heavy, hard and light. Building
Hard and
hard, building light. Not heavy. No, we're not
Yeah, building hard and heavy comes easy.
Yeah, building hard.
Building hard and light. That's
Yeah.
a skill.
That's a little more skill. That's right. I've been carving everything out as much as I can, trying to get myself as close to a 30-ounce airframe as I can.
Very good. I see you're holding up
That's
something for
with
me.
nothing in it.
Stuart, you trying to get my attention, Stuart?
Well, I was just gonna ask Glenn something on the vinyl numbers you make on the machine.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Oh, you don't do them? Oh, I thought you did them by the machine sometimes.
No, I hand cut all my own with an X-Acto knife and I
Yeah.
draw
Does
'em out.
does anybody else use one of the vinyl machines?
Howard
Okay.
does.
Howard does.
Hey, Howard, do you I think there's two types, aren't there? There's one's like a permanent one, and then there's another one that's not as permanent for the gluing on the back. Do you know anything about that, or
One what that's permanent nut? Oh, the
vinyl
um,
when you cut it after I've heard there's a permanent one, and then there's one that you can remove, kind of thing.
well, I use the mask material, which doesn't have a very aggressive stickum on it. But, you can peel it off.
Is it a certain brand name or anything? For the
Oh, this
vinyl?
is MacTac. I don't know the part number right offhand, but it's only suitable for masks, not for letters that stay put.
Oh,
So- And as for the vinyl that is meant to stay put, you can see a sign shop and get some from them.
okay, yeah, my daughter's got one of those vinyl cutters. I just wasn't sure if I should use the removable stuff or the stuff that's permanent. That's the only thing. I didn't know partly because of the nitro or whatever, too, if it gets on it.
I wouldn't think it would
Bother
one
it.
nitro proof and the other not.
Okay.
I guess it depends on how long you want the letters to be there.
Well,
That's not the answer, is it?
depends how fast I crash them. But we'll see.
Which vinyl cutter did your daughter get? The Cricut machine or?
I think that's it. My daughter's got it, but I wasn't just sure about if there's a certain vinyl you should use for the numbers to put on your Mac number. So
Disregard anything I said. It's I don't know.
Here's you've seen these before, but this is
Make you big.
sandwiched in three 3/4 inch blocks. I think that's the way it started.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You can see the
Yeah, I see
change
the
in
grain.
color.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the center line on that side, and then my do not sand line on this side.
Very
And
good.
from the time I tack glued these together to now, it's probably an hour, which
Yeah.
isn't bad.
And they go pretty quick.
Yeah, it's down to 1.4 ounces, but it's all going to be, hogged out anyway.
Right.
I think it'll end up kind of light, and I'm still trying to decide if I like the shape. So I'm going to, do that before I hog it out.
Right, right.
So it's getting there, and it's it's gratifying work. So
It is. You know what? That is so true. It really is.
It is.
You're holding in
Yeah.
your hand. It's small enough that it can be really gratifying, pretty quickly. Unlike a big, big long piece of shaping. It takes such a long time
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah. I don't want to be known just as an administrative guy.
That's good. I understand.
I just want to be like you guys,
Yeah, there you go.
I think,
Even like Len. I'd like to be like Len.
isn't there a saying that if you don't have anything to prove, you probably won't do anything, right?
You poor man.
Yeah.
So that's it.
That is great. That's great. That's great. Hey,
Good
Paul
luck.
Fielder, thanks for coming in. I saw your comments in the chat box, and I appreciate that. Thank you for the like.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
was
much.
just listening, and I had a comment. I was gonna give Stuart some information on this vinyl.
All right.
Yeah,
Sure.
so Stuart, they like Howard said, they actually make a mask product, but you can get a vinyl that's removable. And if you're going to be running nitro, I would suggest you just cut mask and paint it on there, and then peel the mask off.
Oh, okay. You're saying that when you say mask, is that where they you cut it and then you don't use the vinyl? Is that it?
Yeah, so
It's like a stencil.
yeah. So like I mean I cut this out, but I mean this had Brodak on it, and I cut it out of monocoat and put it on a plane. But if you want to, I mean, I'm just showing a little bit of the lettering here. You can cut it out and then in vinyl, and then put it down, spray it, and then pull it off.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think I know what you mean in a way. I'll ask my daughter how she does it with putting stuff on, so I know.
Okay, well, I mean, the stuff that she puts on, it's either a permanent vinyl or a removable vinyl. But
Right.
they do make a paint mask that you can buy, and it comes in if she's got a maker or a Cricut, it's going to be a 12-inch roll, and then you can either get it in sheets or you can get it in like a 5-foot roll.
Okay, so like the stencil or whatever you called it is actually on a roll of its own. It's not the vinyl.
Right.
Okay,
And
I didn't realize that. I thought you were using the what she did and cut it, and then you pulled off the vinyl and you used what was left. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
you can do it either way. It can be a positive or a negative. You can either have the letters cut out and you put them down as a sticker, right? But if you're flying nitro, if you're doing electric, you can do permanent vinyl, put it down and you're done.
Right.
Okay. But if you're going to be doing nitro and fuel's going to get on it, you're going to want to use something that's
Okay,
not fuel proof, because there's nothing that's
What did you call that roll? What was it called? The stuff maker, or what was it? The stencil part, the roll.
it's a vinyl. I'll show you. And you can get it at almost any craft store like Jones Fabric. I don't know if they have that way up north, but I mean, this is the Cricut product. You pay a little bit more for that. And like I said, it comes in permanent or removable, or they actually make a paint mask. And what this goes on, I'll just show you what I was kind of messing with today. It goes on, the material goes on this is a sticky mat, right? And you can even print with it. You can do lettering with it. So whatever material you're cutting, whether it's paper, vinyl, or whatever, sticks to this mat, and then this goes in the machine, and that's what cuts. So it's only going to cut that wide, and
Right.
then however long it is.
But for doing the stencil part, is it a certain type of roll itself? I guess is what I'm saying. It's not necessarily vinyl. You called it maker.
There's different cutters. The maker, Cricut does the maker. There's other manufacturers that does it, but the vinyl comes in there. You can get it Cricut vinyl, or you can get it at the dollar store. But if you're just going to do paint mask, what I was going to say, you could get shelving paper stick it down on this, and that vinyl cutter will cut it.
Oh, I see.
You know, I'm talking about that.
What would
clear-
you use if you're masking? What do you actually use?
If I'm doing masking,
Yes.
if I was going to do masking, I would do shelving paper.
Which paper? Sorry.
Shelving paper.
Okay. All right.
You know, you can get
That's
that at
fine.
yeah, you can get that at the Home Depot. I mean, here's a piece of it right here.
So that's stuff that's for actual shelves, like in your kitchen, and that's what
Yeah.
they use it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you're just
I didn't know what they were using to do this. Okay.
right,
Sounds
and you'll just stick it. It'll stick down on here. You'll stick it to this. She'll have to put whatever design you're going to want to do in the computer,
Right.
and then just hit print, and it just cuts it out. And then
Okay.
you peel this off. You separate the two pieces, put it down, and spray it.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Easy peasy.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question from, actually, maybe it's a comment from McBride one. I believe that's Ruben McBride. He says, Mark, I just rejoined Pampa as I got a renewal request from Jim Barry. Sending out that notice helped me to log on and sign up. Thanks, Ruben.
Thank you, Ruben. Yeah, Jim is the district director for District 1 up in Maine, that area, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. And he's a little bit warped like me in that we tend to volunteer to do things. And we didn't have a membership chairman, and no one else on the Zoom call was saying anything. And then Jim said he would do it. And because it's been bothering me that we don't have an airtight system that lets people know when their renewal was due and who's paid and who isn't paid. And Jim's wrote a real good letter. I just tweaked it a little bit, and we're getting great response from people who either didn't know or did know they were late, but now they're signing up. So he's done a good job. People that join, they get a nice letter. They get an organizational chart of Pampa, and they get an updated brochure. And they're asked to contribute to my PayPal. So just kidding that last part. But thank you for the comment.
Very good. And Gordon Delaney is joining us. Thank you, Gordon, for coming in. Appreciate it. So what you been up to, Gordon? You been doing anything in your shop or been flying? What's been going on with you?
I had kind of a crappy day in the hobby room.
Oh, really?
I was covering my Heinz 57, and I was doing the bottom of the wing, and I looked over, and the bottle had tipped over. So that's the easy one. So I cleaned that all up, but I still had enough in the very bottom to finish doing the bottom. So I turned the airplane over and cut a piece, and I filled up the bottle again. And I couldn't reach the center section, so I scooted between that and the bench. My butt hit the bottle and it went off the end and splattered and broke the glass bottle on the floor. 4 ounces of dope on the floor.
That's frustrating. Yeah, I totally feel you. I just recently tipped over my bottle of CA onto the garage floor, poured out all its contents basically on the floor. I was upset about that. And I was like, because normally I'm pretty good at removing the cap. Because I actually suck it out. I use a transfer pipette and I draw some CA out of the bottle. I just set the bottle down and I put the cap on. I only have 2 hands, so I just kind of normally, but this time I didn't reseal it and I knocked the CA bottle down. It was a nice size CA bottle too. And then the contents poured onto the garage floor.
Oh,
I bet you it was a lot harder to clean up my dope.
Yeah, it's just a shiny spot on my garage now. It's just it's a constant reminder of how much money I just wasted,
Money, yeah, that's it.
The funny
Yeah,
you
part,
didn't step in it with your bare feet.
Thank God.
Those
What's
ARFs
wrong
are
with the
looking
call
better
my
and
wife?
better.
Can you come help me? I'm stuck to the floor. What?
yeah, to attack my aluminum, or the floor and bubbled up every place where it was. You know, I have linoleum down,
Man,
Oh man, yeah, that's so frustrating.
but I finally did get the top and bottom of the outboard wing covered.
Good, good, good.
Been waiting 3 years to do that.
I know. I have some good ideas I still haven't done yet. Good ideas from years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half
I
of
get to them, but not right away.
Oh, man. It's nice to know we're all in the same boat, gents.
I mean, that thing I made to hold the when I was soldering the glow igniters together. I don't know if you remember. I showed this apparatus that I made to hold everything. I mean, that was like 3 years ago. I thought about that. I had gone to a Battery Plus store, and they had fixed my glow igniter. I needed to have one the next day to go flying, so I didn't want to go order one. So I located that Battery Plus store, and they put it together for me with the new battery. They sold me the battery, and then they just soldered it together for me and put the covers back on. And from that point, you know, I said, "Oh, I could probably do that myself." So, anybody else doing anything else in the shop they want to share or go flying?
I can tell you about an experience I had with CA a long time ago in the shop. I was working in a garage when I was in California, where my shop was kind of tight quarters. I had a 2x4, I think, and I was using it some sort of a crutch or something to use to line everything else up. Anyway, it was on the floor and somehow had a whole bunch of CA got loose, and I stuck my finger or a couple fingers on that board, and they got stuck. And tight quarters, hard to move around. And my wife came home, parked a car on the other side of the garage. She came over and looked at me. I was kneeling on the floor with my fingers stuck on this board. She looked at me and laughed and walked off.
Oh, so Barbara showed nothing but love for you that day, huh?
That's right. A lot of pity.
I think I get the impression she probably it was nothing new she saw, really.
Well, that was different, but she knew what my quandary was, and she figured I'd work out of it somehow. And I did. I was finally able to kind of, I think I left some skin on that board, but anyway, I got off it.
Oh, I know. Oh, that hurts.
Oh, man. I keep that little green bottle of debonder handy all the time.
I don't know about doing that.
I don't go anywhere without debonder if I'm using CA, because if I'm down there alone and nobody's around, I could be there a while.
I didn't know anything about debonder, and I cracked the flap on my Colossus there at VFC. So I ran up to Bart's house and was going to CA it, and I grabbed his debonder.
Oh no!
Laid it across that crack, and then I wiped it off, took all the paint off.
Oh shit!
Then I got looking at the bottle. Oh, debonder.
Yeah.
Shit.
just the other day, I dribbled on my Cub windshield a bit of CA, and I thought, oh, I'll just get the debonder and clean it off. That was a mistake because then it went foggy.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
I used a little bit of clear dope, and actually pretty much it's not gone, but it actually did a pretty good job to get rid of the fog. But
Very good. That's a good save.
Nice to know we're all doing the same kinds of mistakes.
Yeah, we all make the same kind of mistake. I'm sure Dennis must have some stories.
Oh, I bet he's got a few.
himself. Hey, Dennis, we're talking about. You need to lower your boom, Dennis.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
saying, pick a subject. I'll tell you a story, whatever.
So we were just sharing how Gordon Delaney, he spilt a jar of dope on the floor. I've spilt a bottle of CA on the floor, and we all, this it happens,
Yeah.
Getting stuck to things and all kinds of good stuff.
Well, you remember the story Wendy put in one of the stunt movies? He spilled a bottle of CA on his seat that he was sitting on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shoot.
Well, you
Was
know,
he-
with CA, you know, when it gets like that, he says it's getting hot. He says all he could do is you could smell the smell of cooked
Burning
ham and everything
flesh.
like that. He's glued. He's got his butt glued to his chair, literally, and he's there kind of like peeling himself off of his clothes and out of his clothes and like, you know, half naked, trying to, and you know, with a
Oh my
really, really
God.
painful spot. And it's just, I don't know. That's about the worst spill I ever heard of. But
Wow.
But I remember there was a Wendy Winowski video at Brodax where the guy playing, I think, a banjo, and he would do these songs. Do you know what I'm talking about? This guy that would provide entertainment.
Yes, I saw that video.
And he went through the scenario where he came down, I guess, with nothing on to go check on a glue up of some sort, right? And he gets, you know, some private parts stuck to a chair. Remember that song? It's funny. It's a funny song. I see Paul Taylor had raised his hand. Go ahead, Paul. What's going on? And you're muted, by the way. You're muted.
There we
Yeah, I
go.
was just listening to the stories and on the CA accidents, and was talking to my good friend Jim Lynch, and he was helping a guy build an Ober. This is a couple of years ago, and he said that they were trying to do something. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, the guy was holding the plane up, and he was pouring letting the CA kind of run down into the nose of the plane. And he was like, I don't see it, coming out anywhere, and they were, and all of a sudden the guy felt some burning in his pants.
Oh,
And he held the plane up and he said, Jimmy, what do I do? And Jimmy says, I can't help you, man.
I can't help you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he kind of glued his pocket to his something else, I think, or something.
yeah.
Oh man.
Well, they have something, don't they? You have to spray on and release that stuff.
Yeah, debonder.
Debonder, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't work like instantaneous either.
No, you gotta wait a bit. You gotta be patient with that stuff too.
Nitromethane will act as a debonder.
Right.
It's a lot cheaper than that stuff you have to buy in a little bottle.
You're kidding. Oh,
No.
wow. Yeah, I've got some debonder. You usually have some laying around. I had very, very little luck with it actually working, but
Find if you put it on and let it sit for a couple of minutes, then it works.
yeah.
You can't think it's gonna do it instantly because it won't.
Well,
It's
I've done it, and I kind of like picked at it a little bit with a knife or something like that, try to scrape off any little fillets or anything like that. And hopefully it's on a balsa part and it soaks into the balsa and gets, around all sides of the joint and stuff like that. And it'll eventually get there. So
it's good for taking it off your fingers.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it is.
I haven't tried that. I usually use a sanding block. It's the only thing
Yeah,
I
me
found
too.
that works. Sand off. That's why I don't have any fingerprints, but
Now, is there any trick that you might want to share about CA with plywood? I know balsa wood it works great, but plywood's another story.
What do you mean?
When you CA, with the balsa, it's instantaneously, it's always a good glue joint, but you don't get that same reaction with plywood. It's different.
Yeah, again, it seems to be a little slower. You got to hold it a little longer, but it does stick.
Man, I heard when stuff first came out, I remember I was talking to Carl Goldberg about it, and he said that it was always a good idea with plywood to wet it first with water.
Wow, I've never heard that.
That would do it.
And I've never tried it or anything like that. Basically I make it a point not to CA anything to plywood,
Right,
if I
same
can
here.
possibly avoid it. So
That's the reason why I use epoxy instead of CA.
Well, I use CA on almost everything except motor mounts now, and I use it on plywood too.
Okay. Yeah, I've settled back into using tight bond for almost everything. So anywhere I can.
I can't. That's going to Slowville. I can't go there.
Well,
It's
that's the
light though.
thing.
It's light, but
airplane's
it's slow.
One season.
It's I'm not sure that it's any slower in that when I'm using CA, it seems I spend 10 minutes 1 minute doing glue joints and 10 minutes unclogging the bottle, and it
Yeah,
just seems
true
I'm always
enough, eh?
unclogged. And then of course you get into, sometimes it doesn't work that way. And of course you just joining parts as fast as you can move your hands and stuff, but you get
Yeah.
into some things that it just doesn't pay. So
No, that's true. Sometimes
Yeah.
the CA bottles do clog up bad. They're a pain in the butt.
yeah. Without even spilling them on your chair, they can be a
Exactly.
pain in
Oh,
the
yeah.
butt. So
I spend more time trying to unclog nozzles than gluing
Mhm.
some days. You're right.
Yeah.
That's why I use those transfer pipettes. Is that way I have it fresh. And I buy some mini, like I just use it and throw it away, for the next operation, get another mini pipette.
Yeah,
And
man, you haven't used those, have you?
No, I don't even know what a pipe. I know what
I've
they
got
are, but
some.
I haven't got. I've never used them.
When I come to get that paint, I'll bring you some.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, Dennis.
I'll be back. I got to go for a few minutes.
all right, thanks.
Okay.
I've used Type Bond ever since it came out.
Uh-huh.
And the only thing I don't use it on is when you're putting your clean edges together at the back.
Yeah.
I don't use it on that.
Yeah, it does shrink and warp quite a bit. And I did find a way that you can get past that. If you don't put a continuous bead, it helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You can put like a drop, several drops, and hopefully it kind of spreads out without really touching. But if it's, but then it's a difficult kind of a pain in the butt to kind of do that kind of thing. But so.
Do any of you guys use these with your CA?
Yeah, mine are even smaller than that. I use a
Mhm.
smaller volume.
Yeah, I use those. I use those
love these
bigger
things.
ones. I use those bigger ones for transferring thinner and others more.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing you can do. A lot of people don't know. If you take a pair of pliers and pull at the tip, you can make it as fine as you want. It'll just pull and give you a very fine opening.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's
Yeah.
a great idea, Mark. I never
And
thought
the
about
other thing, I forget what this is. It might be 3/8. I just have a big old piece of pine and I drill holes in it. And then when I'm done with this, I just stick it in the board. It stays vertical.
Right.
So it keeps the neck nice and clean.
Yeah, that's a
It's
good
really
idea.
good at finding, places in the corners and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have that size, and I have smaller ones than that, like 2 or 3 smaller than that.
Yeah.
Up to like 0.1 millimeter. They're called transfer pipettes. If you do a search for them, that's what they're called, transfer pipettes. And
if my ears are, dirty, I can go in there with them. So you can use it whatever you want. But I like it.
Hopefully you take the CA out when you do that. So
my hearing is going, I'll tell you.
Hey,
But
thanks
these
for
are very
grabbing
cheap,
that.
and I'd recommend them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for grabbing that, Mark. I appreciate that. Nothing like showing someone what we're talking about. And then here's a smaller one by Stuart.
Yep.
This is more like the one I use more of the time. I use the smaller ones. Oh, that one's one you put on your bottle. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just one you put on the bottle, which works
Yep.
really nice. This long one's really nice because when you're trying to get down into something,
Oh yeah.
that's about 4 inches long at least.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, that's excellent for when you're putting together the trailing edge of a wing and even the shear webbing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for showing that, Stuart. Appreciate it.
Stuart, what's that airplane by your shoulder?
Oh, it's my carbon cub.
What?
It's not a
RC.
It's a RC with a 20 cc.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
It's a short nose.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I cut it off. It was too big.
There you go.
Looking good. Looking good too.
Are you folks familiar with the Reed Clip Clean Cub? With the shorter wings, the full size. It's called the Reed Clip Wing.
Yeah.
He's the one that did the very first one. I flew it. I got about 30 hours in that airplane.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Must be fun to fly.
Yeah. It's really slow though with the A65 in it.
Yeah.
Really? So he didn't power up on it. So
Well, you do a spin or a hammerhead, and it takes you 15 minutes to get back up to altitude.
yeah. Everything is very deliberate. So
Yeah.
you have to plan your moves ahead of time. Okay.
Hey, Dennis, I have a question from John Shukalak. He says, Dennis, is there a type of type bond that sands well?
I've had luck with 1 and 2. I've never tried 3, but Tight Bond dries hard enough that you can sand it. Elmer's white glue works good, but you can't sand it. All right. So, but I haven't had any trouble sanding Tight Bond because it dries hard enough. Now, plan B is, sanding 101. When you're tacking something hard like a glue joint or something like that, you don't start with 400 paper, man. You start with something, aggressive and shape it, and then you finish sand it later. And I think a lot of people start with paper that's a little too mild. So
Yeah,
but-
Pete Peterson told me something about the tight bond. Like when you're gluing a turtle deck or a front block on,
Mhm.
takes a cotton swab and he wets the edges with water,
Yeah.
then glues it and he tapes it, and that causes the wood to swell.
Hmm.
Now, when it dries, you knock off the excess, you can't see the seam.
Okay.
I've done that several times since he told me, and it works really well.
Yeah, that does work really well. I've done that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
I
let
think
me
it'd be
see.
a good prep really for any kind of a tight bond joint too, because it just helped the glue spread that much better. There we go.
That's what I use.
Yeah, it says sandable or sands easily, and it does. The only thing you don't want to do is use it between 2 really soft pieces of balsa wood, then it doesn't sand very well.
Hmm.
It'll sand the balsa away before you sand the tie bond, but anything else works. Medium grade balsa and basswood, plywood, it's fine.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate you getting that bottle. And let me welcome Mark Lumen. Hey, Mark, how you been?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Doing well. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time.
Feeling better?
Yeah, definitely had a rough January, that's for sure. The pneumonia sucks. That's all I can say.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it hit me pretty hard. But anyway, I'm on the mend now. Just a little bit of a scratchy voice for the next couple of weeks, they say. So
Yeah.
But living proof to not be a man when you get usually you just throw some dirt on it and move on. Everything's good, right?
Yeah. That's it. Throw some dirt on it. I love it.
Wasn't a good move on my part.
So when you was down, did you get a chance to work in your shop or work on any airplanes? Or you
I did a little bit. I'm ready to put color on the chipmunk. I'm
really?
I'm actually back to work now actually in Las Vegas for a little bit. But I got to fly a little bit New Year's Day, actually. Of course, that's been a while ago. Me and Dave went out and flew. We flew about most of the day, so it was a good day. I'm starting to get through half the pattern. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Very good. That's good.
That's progress.
Yeah, it's definitely progress. But anyway, it's good.
Well, it seems to me last time you were here, you were still moving into a new place and a new shop and a new everything. And
of course, everything has to happen right in the middle of that.
Right.
The shop's coming along well. I got all the shop tables put together, and we're hanging airplanes, and maybe by the end of February we'll be in, because a little off airplane subject, but there is a shop going in. So anytime you move in, if you're going to do anything, do it before you move in.
Yep.
Just get it done. Yeah, we did quite a bit of renovation and stuff like that, and gonna be good. And we're 8 minutes from the flying field, so
Wow.
that's
ain't
good.
bad.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty darn good. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
it. Yeah,
You have a guest bedroom?
we do.
Good
And
enough.
in fact, yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody's certainly welcome. I think probably in spring or whatever we were talking about, maybe we'll do a little fun fly in or something at the field. So yeah,
That's great.
Kansas City, it's in the middle, but pretty much away from everybody else. But
Kansas City, what state is that in?
Missouri.
Missouri, okay.
Yeah, and Kansas. Well, we're actually in Kansas side, so yeah, there is a Kansas City, Missouri, and a Kansas City, Kansas, right next to each other. So
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
It's not as windy where you live as opposed to the other Kansas City in Kansas City, right? I think it's windier there, isn't it?
Well, I think they're close enough that it pretty much can mirror each other. Yeah, yeah. And we're right by Olathe, where the I guess the Nats were in Olathe a bunch of years ago, correct?
68.
Yeah, well, several years ago actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah.
I live near there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, in Prairie Village.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're actually up in Shawnee now, which is, just north of Olathe. Yeah. So good stuff. I've been watching as much as I can here and there, but it's just been the last 3 or 4 days that I actually got a voice back. So very frustrating.
Very, very cool.
That's good.
And Paul, go ahead, Paul. What's happening? Your mic is muted. There you go.
Yeah, I just had another question for Stuart. I was wondering if you knew that guy up in Canada that's making those timers now.
Oh, no, I don't. I never, I am not into the electric when it comes to control line, so I don't really know and I haven't heard of anything.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you guys flew together, if you knew of him or whatever, but yeah, I think he's up in your neck of the woods, but
Do you know where he lives or what city?
Mississauga, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul,
Oh,
Beside
Paul
Toronto.
Emerson in Mississauga, Toronto, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Toronto, Mississauga are side by side.
Yeah.
Is that the timer you guys were discussing here last week? I guess the kind of the DYI timer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit last week. Paul wasn't with us at that discussion, and he's really been, I think, spearheading this and wrote the thread that really
Oh,
got
good.
everybody's attention in the main forum there and everything like that. So, but it looks like Mr. Emerson has done quite a piece. So,
Good.
yeah, I went to order one and they were gone. He only had 10 of them out there, and yeah, he
Yeah.
just messaged me today and said he put 10 more out there. So I've got one on the way, and it looked like somebody started doing a review on it there in the electrical section, or the Stunt Hangar.
yeah, John Paris has got his put together and been messing with it and just basically, flying it in his basement, if you will. And it says it seems to be working, just fine. So he said that thing, no on-off switch, just touching the pin and stuff like that. It says it's different, but it seems to work just fine. It says the only problem with that is that it's like you have to have the timer exposed so you can get your finger on it. So
Yeah,
I guess there is a provision for a remote switch, but
yeah, I think there is. Or I was even thinking, if you did put it on a full fuse, I'm going to put it on a full size force. That's electric already. And I know
that's a good way to try it. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Morris, when he was, first coming on the scene with the profile Cavaliers and stuff, he had a little cheat count. He popped that off and, press a button on the, the Brodak timer, and then, put it back on there. So kind of the same thing. But
yeah, if you'll need to either have the timer exposed or have it, have it easily accessible. So
yeah. Well, I like the thing that you can program it with your phone. So that sounds kind of like a
Mhm.
Pretty neat idea.
That's pretty good. I mean, I've got that Castle Link for the ESC. I mean, that goes to the phone. You know, you can program the ESC through your phone, but it's kind of neat. But once you program the ESC once, you probably don't need it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
But yeah, but the timer I could see you changing quite a lot. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So we'll see how that plays out.
So
is
just
Tom-
one more reason for me to get a decent soldering iron. So
Yeah.
So is Tom Morris still alive?
As
Anybody
far as
know?
I know,
He's still doing okay?
I
he's
think
a
so,
little-
yeah.
He's been slowing down the last few years and stuff, but it's part of the reasons he sold his business and stuff. But in the meantime, he kept
Right.
building airplanes for people. So
Good.
he's still mass producing everything. So I guess he's got
keeps you-
some energy.
keeps you active.
Yep.
Yep.
Let me welcome Joe Gilbert. Thank you, Joe, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Joe Gilbert.
Hello, y'all.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
So what you been up to, Joe? You been doing anything in your shop or been flying?
Oh, no, I've been flying a little bit. Flew, I guess, this week a couple times and went to Hutchinson, Kansas with some guys today and dropped off an airplane and came home and it's Cirrus. That's a fine airplane right there.
You like to see what the 22
Oh,
or the jet?
22 turbo. I
Yeah.
just ride and I went with the guys. That's a fine airplane, guys. Woo.
No, it's a nice airplane. We had one for we had a couple. It's very, very good. Very good for what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a magic carpet ride for a
It's
piston
very
engine
very capable. Very capable. Yeah.
for real. Yep, the boys want to go to Hutchinson. They like the shop in Hutchinson better than the one in Tulsa. So
Well,
They
what
take-
shop in Hutchinson? What's there?
it's a Cirrus dealership. A
Oh,
Cirrus, yeah, they're
Yeah.
under warranty. They're brand new airplanes almost. So
Yep.
they
So
still do.
There's no hobby shop there.
No,
No, unfortunately. Yeah.
but the one boy's got one now and he's got one coming in 24. Then he's got a jet in 25 coming.
Wow.
These boys got serious shekels, y'all.
I
Well,
guess
you
so.
know, the jet's not bad. I mean, we've had the jet we got serial number 37.
Is that right?
So I worked quite a bit with Cirrus in the beginning, actually. So if I'm happy to answer any questions, of course, Cirrus will help them out anything they want to do. But yeah,
Oh,
I-
they
I've-
know the first names,
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, I take that thing to Africa. I've took it back and forth to Nigeria. And,
Is that right?
Wow.
nine fuel stops in 22 hours.
Gee.
We were
Jeez.
having lunch and 61T came in. So I bet he's 61 years old. His name's Tom. I don't know, but he came in,
Nah.
had dinner, and he got in an airplane and left. I thought, well,
Yeah.
it makes the de Havilland Chipmunk look like it's toys, man. My airplanes are toys compared to Cirrus.
Yeah, but that's not a good comparison to the chip.
No. No, they got a different mission in mind.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
It was a good day.
Good.
That's good. Oh, do you know about Fox 35s? Anybody? As I had a question from who was this? Paul Miller. He had a question about the Fox 35. Those parts you can get to get a high suit Fox, and he's wondering what's that all about. Any comments on that?
Is this the stunt motor?
Yeah.
I always ran the tank about a 1/4 inch high.
Yep.
So when you go inverted, you didn't get that big.
You can get the burp.
Inverted
yeah,
jet.
it looks like Mr. Miller here is trying to rebuild one, trying to put new parts in an old engine or something like that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But what you're saying, and obviously that's right on target too. But
You got to be super careful, in my opinion. Tighten the head down. You can warp that sleeve so quick and make your head spin, and they not run properly. You got to be really patient, torquing the head down. I think
Is that
Yeah.
true with the ceramic sleeve as well?
for sure.
Yeah.
They're just thin skin, y'all, and you gotta torque back and forth. I think going around 3 times before you get it tight is not asking too much.
Yeah, put them together dry. You can feel the bind better that way.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. There we go. Now, Al Ferraro was talking about that last week, talking about the reason he uses a torque wrench on model engines is that he discovered with Foxes that, just the old standby, a TL, feels about right. Says all you get out of that is a bindy engine. I know my dad used to go around on a set of he did it on everything, but I think he learned it on Foxes. He'd go around the circle several times. A triangle of these 3, then a triangle of the other 3, and then and everything, and then change a different triangle and stuff and just like you say, tweak.
Patience.
Yep. And you had to do that. I think it's probably a good idea to do it on almost any engine, but the Foxes were not necessarily machined real accurately, and like Joe says, everything was kind of flexible anyway. So it was real easy to make bad things happen. So
let me welcome Philip Bailey in. Thank you, Phil, for coming in.
Hey,
Appreciate
guys.
it. And Paul Miller, if you'll get back to me, let me know if we answered your question, or if we didn't answer your question, let me know. You know about Fox 35s, Phil Bailey?
Oh, I ran a bunch. I ran them for years because that's all Tommy runs. And
I still got them.
I was running OS 35s, and he was running Foxes, and he was running consistent, and I wasn't. So I asked him to help me build a Fox one day. So we handpicked a bunch of parts and went to put it together, and I saw what he was doing that I had not been doing, and my engines ran great after that. But just like you say, just take your time and go around it about 3 times, maybe 4,
maybe more.
But
patience.
And then don't get in a hurry, and pay attention to them all the same.
Yeah.
And as long as you did that, you're fine. But the difference between mine that ran terrible and Tommy's that ran great, he just had more patience putting them together than I did, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't hand lap it enough. I didn't do a lot of things enough. But after I learned how to do it, I can make a Fox run. I still like the OS Max better, don't get me wrong. I think it was a stronger motor. But I can make a Fox run. I've still got, I've got 2 old timers that have Fox 35s on it, and I've got at least 3 that have Fox 59s on it. Now, if you want something that you can screw up easy, mess with a Fox 59.
So Brent Williams in the chat box, he says, howdy, guys. So Brent Williams has joined us in the chat box. So Brent, did you get your new the new timer, Governor? Have you received yours yet? I know you ordered it. Did you get one?
Which one did you order?
The one that I think Paul Taylor talked about on the forum.
I don't know. Oh, that brand new one, yeah.
The circuit. Paul Emerson Circuit Flyer brought out a new timer that integrates a lot of different things and is designed to work with a non-governing ESC, low-cost ESC, and sounds darn interesting.
Sounds darn interesting. I'd like to have a couple of them myself.
I think I might start with one, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
I'd start with one for sure, but
yeah.
So Brent Williams responded, he hasn't opened the package yet.
Tell them to hurry up. We'd all like to know how it works. Just kidding.
A little bit off topic, but I've been watching a couple of videos of the resurgence of JetX. Any of you guys used to mess with that? It's a new engine design. It's very impressive. And the guys who are showing it are actually looking for backers, to get the thing going. But they have a lot of demonstration flights, and it's pretty impressive little motor.
Yeah, I bet
it is. A glow motor or electric? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's a solid fuel,
little jet.
Oh, okay.
It's a free flight.
Oh, a free flight. So
yeah.
Okay.
When I was a kid, that was a big thing, taking free flight and launch them up with a JetX. And the only thing you worried about was in the late fall, One of the guys
Mm.
threw one and the wind caught it. And it looped over behind him, landed in the wind caught it, and it looped over behind him, landed in a big tree that had brown leaves off it. It was not pretty.
No, no.
Mm.
Actually, I guess it was probably in its own way, probably really pretty when it if you can get over the golden flame and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But,
there was a lot of
yeah,
flames. All right.
yeah.
I didn't
I
know you
think
could
I
light
well,
a
I
whole
showed
tree aflame.
showed a couple of pictures here. My nephew has been working on an electric ducted fan to replace a JetX.
That'd be
And
cool.
yeah, and he's got it working. He had a 25 millimeter version, and now he's got a 30 millimeter version, and it's interesting. He's building I don't know if it's a peanut scale or it's nearly a peanut scale, which is like a 13-inch wing. I think his might be a 15. It's a Yak 15, the first Soviet jet fighter. It's basically a Yak 9, and they put the jet engine under the nose and maintained as much as the rest of the airplane, but they wanted to have a jet airplane, and they did. So but the neat thing about it is, the basic layout there is it's just a pretty easy flying airplane, so that should be a good thing. So
that was the Soviet fighter that kept burning its tail off.
Yeah, and they did things
neat.
like they put a steel tail wheel on it because the jet, it was a tail dragger airplane, and the jet blew right onto the tail wheel. And they ended up having to put a steel tail wheel on it to keep it from burning up the tire. Then they put stainless steel panels under the fuselage because it was burning the fuselage. And
it was one of those ideas, but maybe not a good one.
Yeah, well, it worked. It got them airborne, and they got experience flying jet fighters, and they also learned how not to build a jet fighter. But
learned how to maintain a jet.
Yeah, MiG did the same thing, and theirs is interesting because they put cannons on it right up next to the intake. Whenever they fired the cannons, it would shut the motor off.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of a counterproductive for a fighter that does that. But
yeah, but they also had the first fighter that a farmer could fix with a hammer and a screwdriver.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, they've done some interesting things for sure. So.
Has anybody ever had any luck with a ducted fan for control line?
I've never seen but one person attempt it, and it was a I think it was semi-scale, and it flew.
Yeah, I think one of Charlie Bauer's kids had a ducted fan scale model.
I think that was it.
Yeah. The guys on the RC field, they're flying these electric fans, and them suckers are moving. I mean, they're well over 100 miles an hour and everything like that. I think there's enough power to fly something with strings on it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So.
And we got a guy at the field that's flying a MiG 15 ducted fan, with electric ducted fan. And one of the other guys bought a F-86 Sabre. He said, "I'm gonna go have some dog fights with him," but it's not flying yet. Maybe next week, maybe next weekend. But I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah, I think the thrust issue would be one. Is your thrust? You're pushing most of it instead of pulling. On the props. I don't know. But presents some issue.
It's a foam airplane. I mean, it doesn't weigh much.
I meant for control line stuff. So
for control line. I don't know. That could be an issue. Sure enough.
Probably a different trim.
Well, it would be. I think getting it off the ground, flying level, and going like crazy in level flight's not going to be an issue. Doing great big round loops and stuff wouldn't be an issue. I don't know what's going to happen when you start asking it to do square corners and you start, stopping the airplane, if you will, doing
vector thrust. There we go. We'll fix it up.
Yeah, you get the thing pointing straight up without any, without a lot of inertia behind it, and see just how much static thrust there is there. So, I suspect it'd be all right.
When you pull G's, when you're pulling G's, it takes power, man. Oh, baby.
Yeah, I've seen Danny and Mike Palco fly their Dynajets, so I believe just about any jet after that.
Oh, yeah, but they're not doing a square corner ever.
No. Their square corners are extremely, shall we say, liberal, but I'll bet that those fans would do as well as the Dynajets.
Oh, I think sure they would.
Yeah, I bet it would.
After they compressor stall a couple of
Wouldn't
times.
be near as much.
I think Keith had some.
Wouldn't be near as much fun to watch it at near dark though.
Mhm.
Danny flew his at. I mean, I couldn't see the airplane, but you could sure see the tail glowing.
Yep.
The boys got good eyes, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That thing was. He
He's a
was
good
flying that
stick.
thing right at dark, and it was. You could see the flame coming out of that thing, or looked like donuts coming out the back of it. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Let me
Did
interrupt.
you-
I have a comment from Jeff Riley. He said, like scent, my friends. And then he goes on, Fox engines are not hard to get good runs. Not too sure why people worry so much.
Jeff would be exactly the right question or guy to answer Mr. Miller's questions
I
there.
was
don't know if-
thinking that same thing.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you see Paul Miller's question about the Fox 35s. He has a question about the new sleeves and pistons, the parts you can do to build a Fox 35. I'm assuming he was talking about the ceramic parts and the stuffer plate as well. Well, what's your comments on that?
Yeah, Keith had his hand up a moment ago. I think.
Hey, Keith, go ahead.
Well, if you want to hear some long stories about ducted fans for control line, long time ago in Southern California, and North American had a model club. They had a North American Scale Masters contest every year. And they did the judging the night before at the recreation center there at North American, and then they fly at Sepulveda the next day. And had a model there, and a good friend Roland Baldus, who's long departed from us, but he's a good carrier flyer, good scale builder. He was on the scale team once. They were there with our airplanes, and off in the corner, here's a guy had an F-100, and it was a jet, and it was a ducted fan. And Roland and I looked at that and said, "Oh, ducted fans don't work." And so we waited the next morning, went out there to Sepulveda, and here the strike comes with this F-100 ducted fan, and he fires it up, and there's a regular dust storm blowing behind the airplane. And they let it go, and it wasn't a rat racer when they let it go, but the thing took off and flew very confidently and landed, and it was quite a successful airplane. Started talking to this guy, and we had sort of a long, many-year conversations after that. His name was Mike, oh boy, here I forget, Mike Kozilski or something like that. And he was sort of a forerunner of making his own fans, wooden blade fans, multi-blades. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And I don't think there was anything like that before. And he was doing a lot of experimenting with these things. He made his own cans, put these things in with these multi-bladed fans, and getting significant enough thrust so he could fly these control line scale airplanes with some confidence. And a couple years later, we were both at Wright-Patterson, and he had a friend that was from Australia there, and they built they both built a Mirage, and he wanted this airplane because he didn't know how to fly control line, but he wanted to build a fan with this guy's fan in it. And came out the field, and he watched me fly stunt pattern and says, "Okay, I think you can fly good enough. Would you want to try this thing?" And I said, "Well, I don't like flying other people's airplanes, particularly something we don't know very much about." But I took the handle, and it had enough thrust you could get off the ground, but it was flying in ground effects most of the time, but it flew. Anyway, this Mike Koksik, that's his name, Mike Koksik, went on and did bigger and better things and started flying nothing but radio control. And Dave Platt sort of followed some of the stuff he did with these wooden blade, multi-blade fans. And so did Bob Violet at Jet Hangar, or Bob Violet at Violet Models, and Larry Wolf at Jet Hangar. They started following that same thing, but Mike Koksik was the pioneer in that. And there's even a case now at the AMA Museum that recognizes the work that Mike Koksik did, along with an article he had in American Modeler or American Aircraft Modeler, whatever it was at that time, that outlined everything he did with these homemade wooden bladed ducted fans. But that was sort of a pioneer, as far as I'm concerned, of control line ducted fans and making them work. And that was sort of a forerunner of these high-powered ducted fans that you see now that's marketed by Violet Models and Jet Hangar. And then there's outfit over in Germany. It makes really high sophisticated ducted fan. Well, there's all sorts of neat ducted fans now for the electrics. Very sophisticated metallurgy and methods of putting these things together. But again, to me, this Mike Kolczyk was a pioneer in all that thing, and he got hardly any recognition except AMA finally put this case in the museum that shows some of his early work. And I've been trying to get something going in ducted fans for scale projects. I've got several of them, but that's way down the priority list right now. But someday you're going to see me with it.
Keith, did he use a glow motor?
Yeah. And at that time, I forget what motor whatever it was in the late 60s, he's putting the equivalent like a K&B Racing 40 or something like that. He's using plenty of power and RPM, and that's the secret things work, RPM. And
I'm amazed at the thought of trying to build a fan like that in wood and balancing it and keeping it together and everything like that. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm amazed he was able to keep that many blades together, because those little K&Bs turned like 20 grand.
Oh, more than that, but yeah.
And
but I mean, like that, they turn more than that.
It's but I mean, even at 20 grand, a wooden blade at 20,000 RPM. Wow, he was amazing to do that.
Well, it was they're made out of layers of plywood, all locked together and then shaped. So it wasn't just a single wooden blades sitting out there as a blade.
That makes sense then.
Laminated plywood.
I remember reading about some of his stuff, and I don't remember if I read about it at the AMA museum or if I read about it in the magazine when it came out. But
well, I think there was an article in the magazine in the last couple of years about it too. But like I say, there's
that's what it was.
A display in the cabinet there at the museum now. It's got his stuff.
I remember reading it and thinking, this guy's crazier than I am. That's fast.
It flew, and I flew a model that had his engine blades in it to do that. And I know Dave Platt made his own ducted fan blades for a Skyray that he had at the Nationals one year. And it flew quite well.
Dave Platt. Dave Platt's one of those guys that can wave his healing hand over it and it flies. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Dave's amazing.
And
but there are several. There are several. In fact, there's one here wearing a blue and white shirt that's pretty amazing too, with semi-scales.
Well, very.
Yeah.
But
let me just welcome David Hall for coming in. Thank you, David, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Charles.
Hey, can I do a quick share here?
Sure.
All right. Imagine, if you will.
Go ahead.
All right.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Jack Sheik stunt liner from early maybe mid 1960s, and he hid the upright engine inside the cockpit, and he put 4 jet pods on it. And originally he made the jet pods; they were hollow, or they were open, and discovered that he had some issues with it. They were affecting trim and stuff, so he ended up blocking them off. But I just can't help thinking, wouldn't it be fun to build it with 4 30-millimeter fans in it? And there wouldn't be enough thrust to fly the airplane, I don't think. But there would be enough thrust there to make the airplane a little less draggy, all right? And to sound cooler than anything.
Yeah.
And I'd run them at a constant speed or something like that, and still rely on the main motor there to govern it and speed it up and slow it down and all that kind of stuff. But it's just one of those things, It's like, all right, we got this stuff. What are we going to do with it? Well, that's one thing you can do with it. So
yeah, I remember Red Gunning building I don't remember what the airplane was. I know it, but I can't think of it right now. Anyway, he built a 4-engine passenger plane and had a red hat. I don't remember if it was 35 or 40 in the fuselage, and it turned all 4 propellers on a belt system out of a sewing machine. And there
Wow.
was one for the right bank and there was one for the left bank. But that thing, all four props spun together. That was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it'd be, I remember seeing the original stunt machine and what the heck, what did I know? I thought it looked cooler than heck in the air, you know?
Yeah, I did too.
The swept wing and all those jets all over the place and whatever else, but, it was fun.
Jack had a lot of really neat ideas. And
He was a big fan.
Yeah, he did a lot of things without a filter, let's put it that way. And,
yeah. And when he went to fly, he was a big scale guy too. And he went to
Right.
Worlds a few times. And one of the planes that I really loved that he did was that it's a biplane, but it's a weird looking biplane. It's everything, it looks like it all melted together. I forgot what the thing's called, but it's oh God, now I'm gonna have to go look at my books and find the pages of that thing. But anyway, it's a biplane that was very, very came off the fuselage and swept back into the wings.
Hyperbite?
Yeah, that's it. Hyperbite. That thing was neat looking. When first time I saw it, I thought it was a stunner, and then I realized, wait a minute, there's no wires on that thing. But that's Jack Sheik's. And then somebody enlightened me, yeah, that's the one he took to the Worlds. Oh, okay. I didn't know, but that was slick. And Jack was Jack was a guy who was actually he was a police officer. But
motorcycle cop.
Yeah, but when he wasn't on duty, man, you go and talk to him. If you were a modeler, man, he would stop what he's doing and talk as long as you wanted to talk. He was an amazing guy.
He was a cool dude.
Yeah, that's it.
I wish I'd met him many years earlier.
Let's just say there were no short conversations with Jack. So
no, that's true. He was neat. He was a very neat guy.
Shirley was okay too.
Yeah,
still is.
Still
I haven't
is.
seen her for a while, but she's still doing fine.
We get a Christmas card every year from Shirley.
Well, tell you a story about Jack. He was at VSC once, and it's when my big job was fairly new. It was painted in blue and white, and Jack was wearing this short sleeve blue and white shirt. It was just, I thought the colors were a perfect match for my airplane. I said, boy, I'd like to know where that shirt came from. I'd like to have one like that. He took his shirt off and gave it to me.
Shirt off his back, literally.
Surprised me a bit.
I love it.
Does
Don't
not
surprise
surprise
me either.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
There's some neat people in this hobby.
Oh,
I'm telling
he
you.
was a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart.
That's it. Which begs the question, how are you going to paint the new one, Keith?
Same,
blue and white? Okay.
Yeah.
He's
and
got a
that's not-
shirt. Got to keep it.
Yeah, he's got a shirt. He's got to paint it that way. Okay. Yeah.
And it's not an original scheme on the paint job. Okay. First team to the World Championships, Don Still, Andy Stuka. He had a blue and white Stuka that he took over without the swastika on it. The second version, that's the bigger version of his Stuka stunt. And it's painted up with this blue and white paint scheme, same thing I used on the big job. And for me, it works. It looks good on the big job.
It did.
I think it did.
Why
too.
was it number 48?
Because that's when it was designed. The Stuka stuff goes back to 48.
Okay. I didn't realize
the
that. I thought
car.
it might have been a little later with the Fox in it and everything. I thought the 59. So, okay. That's great.
No, okay, no. The big job was 1948. Because there was a picture is in a 1953 Air Trails, but it said Eddie Nacarado designed it in 1948. So it's 40. That's where the 48 comes from. And a lot of my old time airplanes, I had an airplane called the Pagan, is in the 51 Air Modeler
Remember that.
and it's got a 51 on the tail of it.
Okay.
But that was a modeled after a racing plane called the Havilland TK4. Look it up sometime.
Okay.
First time I went to Tucson in 04, Keith was flying that red Pagan. And I thought, man, that's a little bitty booger. How's it going to stunt? Well, it did.
Pretty well.
Pretty well,
Designer
right.
John Cosby had a knack for airplanes that work. So
That was a fun airplane. Had an OS 25
uh-huh.
and the old OS Max 25. And it's like a little sports car. You get it in the air and says, "Okay, boss, where do you want to go?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd get you there. It really would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've flown
Jim.
Bob Zambelli has a Icarus Junior, which is
Hmm.
very similar in size. It has an
Yeah.
ETA 29 rear intake on it, which is a clone of the K&B 29 racing engine and stuff. The airplane flies pretty fast and stuff, but man, it sure flies well. Point and shoot, you know.
Well, the TK4 or the Pagan, I think, was ahead of its time as a Calden inverted engine,
Yeah.
a low wing with dihedral, and basically semi-scale except for the shape of the horizontal tail. Otherwise, it's pretty close to semi-scale.
All right.
I got tickled at Jim Lee's little thing he brought it to Tucson, but he also took it to the Nationals. Little yellow biplane. I can't remember what that thing was called. Circus Prince or not Circus Prince. Anyway, little bitty airplane, yellow and red, I think, trimmed in red, and it just looked too little and too cute to be a stunner. And then he fired the motor up by putting the battery down where the pilot's supposed to be. And the wires ran to it up through there. I looked at that thing. I thought, Jim, have you lost your mind?
Yeah.
He said, "Hush up, let me borrow your batteries." I went and got my battery back in Globee days.
Shot
And,
in the
he
dark. I don't suppose it was a Dido.
It might have been. I don't remember. I can't remember. But I'm telling you, when that little thing took off, I thought it's so little and so. I mean, it's littler and nobler, smaller than a Ringmaster. But man, that thing could fly.
Yeah, I got plans for a Dido that it's just like you say. You look at it and you can't think. You think it couldn't possibly fly, but I believe it was actually a national champion.
Wow,
Right?
that is neat.
So I mean, really old time, but
yeah. Well, I've got somebody. One of my buddies is asking me, "Why in the world do you want to build a Moidal?"
Why not?
Well, I said, why not? It's the first model airplane to do an outside loop. Why would I not want to build it?
Absolutely. Besides, it's got a cool name.
I saw Don Hutchins fly that thing. Well, he didn't actually fly it, but he was there with it at Tucson, and I just fell in love. I just fell in love with that little airplane. I thought it was the neatest thing. So I cut the pieces out 20 years ago, and I finally found them the other night in a box. I said, "Okay, I got to build this thing sometime. I don't know when."
Don's is in the museum in months.
Yeah. First year he had it out there, it was solid black. And then the next year he had it back and it was orange and black. I think it flew better the second year. I don't know why, but I think it flew better the second time.
Jim Lee's had some interesting airplanes.
Oh yeah, he sure has.
And even more interesting.
Some kind of an Aronca from a Berkeley kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he is able to horse that thing through some semblance of the old time pattern. And everybody cheered when he landed.
Yeah.
And then there was a year.
Here to St. Louis.
Yeah, well, it's one of the first years BSC was in Tucson. I was there, got my stuff out of the car at the hotel, and I had this Walt Musciano Spirit of St. Louis. It came from Mechanics Illustrated.
Yeah.
I put it in the room, and then coming down the street was Jim Lee, and he's carrying the same Spirit of St. Louis.
Oh my.
And we thought that's pretty neat. His was his was lighter than mine, and he flew pretty good. First day, I was in first place in my circle, and then the wind came up the next day, and that didn't do so well. But it's really something to see that high wing Spirit of St. Louis fly inverted. That's unnatural. It's unnatural.
I'll bet.
Hutchinson built that Cub, Stunt Cub, and it'd do all the tricks.
Really?
It looked out on the lines. You see a J3 doing maneuver.
Yeah.
But it'd do it.
Well, you ought to see the Flying Farmer fly a real one. That's a show.
Look up Joe Wolfslayer. Look up Joe Wolfslayer, Cub Act.
Yeah.
That's it. He's the flying farmer.
No, he's one of them. Yeah.
He's one of them.
One of
I
a
had-
kind.
I had lunch with Joe today and he's 60 and he did that when he's 19, I think. So he's still got
Yeah.
that same cub today.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
He does a
Man,
hell.
the control line club probably flew faster than the real Cub.
Yeah, it probably did.
You know, you can
Yeah.
laugh about a cub. A cub will teach you everything you need to know about wind and fuel management. Don't never fly downwind first in the J3.
Oh yeah, because you
No.
never get back.
You can't get home.
The
That's
other
right.
thing you learn real quick is never get in a hurry in a J3
Mm.
because it ain't going to get in a hurry.
Well, that's it.
It's
The other thing,
that's a kid.
J3 is the safest airplane out there. It'll just barely kill you. So
Yeah. Well, I didn't think one would loop. I didn't think a real one would loop until I saw
Oh,
the flying
yeah.
farmer.
Oh yeah, it's all
90
that
miles
energy.
Loop.
He looped that thing at about
You
60
can't
feet.
hardly roll one, Phil. I tried to roll mine and I chickened out. It wouldn't. When you
Right.
pull the nose up and start rolling, it goes so
You just-
slow it quits rolling. And I just said, okay, I'm done. I ain't doing that again.
You
Well,
can't get
I'm
enough
telling you.
speed.
No, they'll
Mhm.
loop at 90 right nice, but rolling them, they just slow down so much. Then they stop turning.
I've got pictures of one that was my next door neighbor helped build one for. We have a big Bible college here, and they build airplanes, and people donate airplanes, and they rebuild them and give them to missionaries that are going to these remote places in South America and all over the world. But he says, you got to come with me and bring your camera. You've got to see this. Well, this is about 1970, 69 or 70, and it's before it's before stall airplanes got really popular. They had J3 is a very high wing. This thing had a low wing on it too that was only a third the size of the top wing, but it was a second wing and had an end strut on it. This thing took off from a dead stop in 60 feet. No wind, nothing helping it out. 60 feet, it broke the ground and took off. And I mean, it just took off.
Mhm.
And I said, well, that one's probably going to South America someplace. So, well, we got one more modification to make to it. What's that? We're going to put bigger tires on it. It was cute sitting there on the stock landing gear, but once they put those big tires on it, it looked like something out of a comic book.
Those things are great, man.
Yeah, the big flotation
I got
tires.
big
Yeah.
26s on my little airplane. I go
You
land
got 26s?
on my Rans,
Right.
fly down to the sandbar and land, water ski and all that good stuff, you know.
I had a guy take me up in a Rans R4. Scared the living.
No, RV4.
RV4.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
vans.
What
Not a
what'd I
Ram.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did I
vans. Yeah,
say? It's a Vans aircraft, but
vans. That's right.
he broke
That's a
the
great
ground. It didn't feel like we were 10 feet high and he rolled it. I just knew I was going to die. It was,
The four, I like the four. The four is good.
Great
he
airplane.
had the four with a bigger motor in it. And
Right. The
180.
180. The 180. Yeah.
yeah, he broke the ground and jogged up one time and then leveled off and spun the thing and then took off, went up and just, holy mac. If you want to get your next, I mean, you'd think you're in a little low power airplane and then he pulls some stuff like that and you're smacking your head on both sides of the canopy. And I said, this ain't natural.
That's
So
a
we
sport
got up, we got up to about 500 feet. And I said, well, all due respect, let me fly this thing a while. I need to catch my breath. It was wild, but we had a good time. We went up, flew around. We were trying to find some people that were missing up at on the mountain, and there's no steps up to the knob on top of Pilot Mountain. There was not then. I think they're back now. We went up there and flew around the mountain and started looking for them. And we took turns with the binoculars looking, and actually found the people. He had fallen and broken his leg, and he's sitting there waving a handkerchief. I thought, how are we supposed to see him through the trees waving a handkerchief? But we did. We found him, and the park rangers got to him. He said he didn't know who those nuts were in that little bitty airplane flying between the trees, but he wanted to buy us dinner. So that was pretty neat. We've done, like I say, I've done some dumb stuff. Everybody thinks I'm supposed to be so sensible. No, you don't know me very well. We've done some dumb things.
Well, I have some comments in the chat box. Let me catch up if I could. Jeff Riley said, he said, not too many comments, Paul Miller. Just leave the Fox alone. All of mine are still as they came out from the case at Chuck's Hobby Shop. And aside from the printed transfer plug, he said, hey, Dennis, do you think the motors would drown out the rattle of the wheels? I'm not sure if we just passed on that subject or not. I don't know what he's talking about. Do you know what he's talking about, Dennis?
Let's
They
see.
shake.
Let me catch up here a little bit.
The motors shake so bad if your wheels are
Yeah.
not pretty tight, they sit and do this. And you can hear it on some of them. So that's probably what he's talking about.
Okay.
Fox is a shaker.
And then we have a new guy I haven't seen in a while, Wild Bill. He says, hey, guys, good evening from Arizona.
All right, I'm jealous. They're warm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let me invite Dave Hall in a little bit more. Dave, you been doing anything model airplane wise that you want to share with us?
Let's see. This evening I had an hour or two and I mixed up some primer and I started putting it on my Cro-Magnon.
Cool deal.
So that's it's kind of a modified Magnum kit. Then it's got half-ounce glass over the whole thing. And then I just got in the mail earlier this week a new batch of Class Coat primer. So I got it all weighed, so I knew what the starting weight was before I got too busy with the primer. We'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be a little on the heavy side, I think, but I had to do a big repair on the internal controls and a lot of patching afterwards. So
I still love that J3. That BD5 looking airplane behind you. That's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
The slope soar, but that's a neat airplane.
Yep, that's a bouncing airplane.
I'm
I'm not a
one
fan
of
foam planes, but that's
well, I'm not either, but I've got a couple of them.
Yeah,
Well, I have a question.
I love that real one.
Yeah, they're kind of special. So
I have a question for you guys, since you kind of got the brain trust here. I started looking at what I think is an early SV11, almost ready to cover plane, and started fixing a whole bunch of uglies and damage to the pieces. It looks like it'd been sitting around for a couple decades. I'm not real thrilled with the wing joining system. It looks like it's got two balsa keys that are pretending to be spars. They probably are only there for alignment. But
balsa?
Yeah. And they don't line up with the actual wing spar either. They're just kind of forward and kind of aft of it. So I think they're just alignment keys. So I was thinking that, well, as a minimum, I got to put a couple layers of glass down over the center section, try to tie the actual spar caps together. So
I'm trying to think. It sounds like it was if it's two-piece wing like that, it sounds like the more recent builds, more recent, probably 5
They
or
could be
6
10
years.
years old. They
Yeah.
could be 10 years old, Dennis, already.
Yeah, but the last set of ARFs had two-piece wings. I think the first sets were one-piece wings.
One piece.
Yeah. Does it have a landing gear in the wing or in the fuselage?
it's got landing gear in the wing.
Okay,
That's
so
an
that
old
is
one.
the older series then.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an old one.
It was a little bit reassuring to see that the partial rib around the landing gear blocks was actually some flavor of plywood. So
And oh, by the way, no matter what the spar material, joiner was, I think the glass over the center does more than the spars would
Absolutely.
anyway.
Get outside the fuselage, in my opinion, on the first layer.
yeah, I was thinking that since it's never been covered, it would be easy to go ahead and join the two wing halves, just like they call out for with the alignment keys. And then go ahead and try to feather in some 1/2 ounce glass as the first layer, and then probably put another layer out past the fuselage sides somewhere. I even thought about whether or not I should cut a short piece of, you can buy that strip carbon. I know Dave Brown Products used to sell it, but I've used that before on the insides of spars and on sailplanes and so on. And it works pretty good. I was thinking maybe I could put a strip over the top on the outside over the actual wing spar caps, so that, you know, the load path would be straight. You wouldn't have to be stressed off into endless glass on the sheeting.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this: the later kits didn't use balsa for that. They have, it's either basswood or pine, and I can't remember which. I've got one downstairs, and I put it together just a few weeks ago, but I don't remember what that thing is. But
it wasn't balsa. But
no, it was not balsa. You might want to switch. You might want to switch to something a little tougher.
Well, those that you're talking about, did they mate up with the existing wing spar?
Yes. Yeah, they made it up extremely well too.
It's in a box.
See, that would make sense then, that the joiner would want to be stronger. But when the little boxes just go into the planking on between the trailing edge and the main spar, stiffening up that alignment key isn't going to do you good, because you're just going to bust out the planking.
I'll tell you one scenario I've heard described, and I'm waiting to try it myself on an expert, is people are starting off with like a piece of either, somebody even using polyspan or 1/2 ounce cloth is perfect. You cut like about an 8 or 9 inch disc out of that stuff and put it over the whole center section, top and bottom.
Right.
Then you put a slightly smaller one, and then, more of a oval shape, and do that. And if you're really a glutton for punishment, you finish it off even with a piece of like 1.5 inch tape or something like that right on the joint. But at that point, I think it's kind of, you're really, really getting redundant. It might just be getting heavy.
Heavy.
But I think if you can spread that out some, like Joe was saying, if you put that big disc on there, that helps carry it past the fuselage and everything like that. And because the layers are so thin, they're pretty easy to feather them out. You can either put the first strip down and the bigger ones on top, or put the big one down first and the littler ones on top of that. Either way works pretty well. So
I probably had 7 airplanes blow wings out, and I've never had one come apart in the middle. They always break on the fuselage sides or thereabouts.
Yeah, they don't break in the middle. They break just off the center. So
I'm hard on airplanes.
Oh, I don't know how that last one, it took you a long time to break that one.
Yeah, Sparky wanted you to break that one the first time he ever saw it.
He didn't like that airplane first time he saw it. He said, I know you built that sucker. It's too damn ugly. Nobody else would build
it. Weren't you telling us that you did actually put that thing back together?
Together, yeah.
Are you going to fly it, or is that just for display?
I'm about to fly it at Baton Rouge and those kind of places probably.
Okay.
It gained a little weight too. It probably gained 1.5 ounces anyhow. It was hurt.
Bad. I mean, that was some pretty serious structure. It's pretty serious failure you had there.
Structure back in. I don't know. We'll see. I've only flown a couple times since. The engine's still awesome. That's the best part of it.
Yeah.
Which engine did you have on that, Joe? I forget.
67 Rojet.
Oh,
It's been a good one. That engine's got a lot of flights on it. Golly. We was at Oliver's house one time. He said, Joe, take that motor out of that airplane. He took it and he took it all apart, did a bunch of measuring and fixing. Then he took the Venturi out and he put a spigot in it. He said, it'll be that much better now. I said, I'll take it.
I remember when they came out with it.
Was it that much better?
I've been told it runs as good as any 67 anybody's ever heard. I don't know. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty good engine.
All right.
Steve Moon says that Richard Oliver ain't got one run that good. It does, it's done me well for a long time.
67 is a good motor, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody wanted to take apart a lapped engine just to look it over. I'd say over my dead body.
Yeah.
He built it.
Well,
Right, he's the
I don't
man.
care, you know. Those
put it
the
together.
lapped engines wear themselves in just a certain way and stuff like that. And then you know, if you're off by a thousandth or two on a rotation or something like that, all of a sudden it's breaking in all over again. And
I think he took the head off and measured the piston, see what gaskets
well,
were.
yeah, okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's it.
We're talking about carbon reinforced spars. Can you talk some more about that? Hmm?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's some material from Aerospace Composites. I don't know if this shows up very well.
Make it big. 1 second, Keith. Okay.
Is that the unidirectional?
Yeah, unidirectional, and it's got a spider web on it. That you can, I don't know if you can see the little fuzzy stuff on it.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
And you can cut this to have if this is like 1/2 inch thick or wide, you can cut it down to 1/4 or 3/8, whatever, because it's all directional. You can just pull it apart almost. And the spider web, you can take this and iron it on a piece of balsa wood.
Yeah.
You know, stay stuck.
Very cool. Yeah, stay stuck.
And so what you can do is you put that sauce, iron that on one piece of 16th inch balsa wood, and then sandwich it with another piece of 16th inch wood on the other side, and then run CA, hold over the table and run CA down one side, and then turn it over and run down the other side, and you have CA holding the whole thing together. And this spar is virtually unbreakable. And here's one I did with the test was 1/8 by 1/4 inch spars, but you don't need all that extra balsa. All you need is hold that carbon in place, top and bottom spars. And again, this thing
It's like plywood.
It's
Holy
like
mackerel.
it is strong. And then even better, Aerospace Composites makes these things. This is a 4-foot long one. They make them in 6-foot lengths. This thing tapers. It's like 7 thousandths out here at the tips. I think it's up to around 21 thousandths here at the center section.
Oh my!
Laminate balsa wood on either side of that, and again, you're going to end up with a spar that's virtually unbreakable, top and bottom. Spars are intended not to bend. They take compression and tension. And this stuff takes all the compression and tension your stunt wing will ever give to it. It'll never fail in flight. With that balsa wood top and bottom on top of this, on either side of this, and then spar on the top and the bottom. And they make a longer one, 6 foot. This thing goes up to, I think, a little bit thicker in the center. It's laminated so it tapers in thickness out to the tip in different thicknesses of the 7 thousandths. You can't see how thin that is, but that's, I think, 7 thousandths.
Pretty awesome.
Neat stuff. And you can get it, at least this came from Aerospace Composites. And I think Oakland or somewhere in that area, in the Bay Area. And this his name, Spar. Used to fly sailplanes, competition. And he got into this stuff. And now then he's a big time supplier of aerospace composite materials to the aerospace industry.
Yeah.
You can look at his catalog and he tells what all this stuff is and how it can be used and what it's used for and so forth. It's great stuff.
Yeah, that's the place that's in Livermore.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
George Spar is the guy who started it. I think he's still running. His family started it, he and his wife. And like I say, it's big business now for him supplying aero composite parts to the whole industry.
Well, speaking of composites, I have another question or a discussion point, I guess. Since so much of the planking is inconsistent and in some cases busted through on this SV11 wing, I was going to go ahead and try the second time, putting carbon veil on it. I'd run my experiments years and years and years ago with carbon veil. I bought a roll of the material from what would have been Sal and Mike Tybie's hobby shop down in Long Beach years ago. And it was so lumpy, thick, whatever, that by the time you put it on and sanded it, you didn't have much left. If you filled it, you had about 40 pounds of filler. And so I kind of just crossed that off my list. So where are you guys buying a lightweight, thin carbon veil that doesn't have those two problems?
Aerospace Composite Products.
Yeah,
Okay,
aerospace sells it, and there's various weights. There's 2/10 ounce carbon veil, and that's what you'd use for covering a balsa shell. That's not what it's intended for, but it works. You brush it on with nitrate dope and take another 3 or 4 coats of nitrate dope before you touch it with sandpaper. And it turns essentially rock hard. You're going to chew up a lot of sandpaper then in getting that thing smooth to where you can start getting some kind of a surface for it. But it gives you an eggshell quality surface that's great for a foundation for building up a dope surface finish, and virtually little gain in weight, because when you start sanding the nitrate dope off, you're sanding some of the carbon off too, and so you end up with very little weight and end up with a lot better basis for a finish than, say, putting silk span over balsa, because this stuff will not sink into the grain of the wood. It just does not.
Yeah.
It gives an eggshell quality rather than a plastic shell like you
How
do.
about strength?
Whoa.
That's some.
That's not a little.
1
We're
ounce.
the Northwest.
Probably not good for much, but I use it like inside of cows or something. It doesn't have any strength either, hardly.
Wow.
The carbon mat was intended for lamination between 2 other materials. Like you could laminate it between 2 sheets of balsa wood, and you end up with something that does not want to twist or bend or anything. It's very stiff.
It's stiff. It's not strong though.
No, it's not strong, and you can put your finger right through it.
Let me welcome John Miller in the house. Thank you, John, for coming in. You're muted, John. But I think you was just basically saying thank you, I think.
No, I said, hi, guys.
Hi, there we go.
I had to go play in a band tonight, so I just got back.
All right. Very good. Very good. Thanks for joining us.
I'm happy to. Hey, I on that long nose on that Pathfinder 40 everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I estimated the weights and did a sum of the moments, and it comes out that actually with I may have to put about a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce tail weight on it.
Okay.
Even with the longer nose.
Even with the longer nose, yeah. On the original one with the shorter nose, actually, I wound up with an ounce, 3/4 ounce on the tail of that.
On my,
make it longer then.
I don't have any tail weight on my Pathfinder.
Hey, Phil, you're muted, Phil.
Well, the Pathfinder 40, I had to put tail weight on it. It's still on it.
Well, why would you extend the nose
and then put tail weight
on it? You extend the nose so you don't have to put nose weight on.
But I needed to have enough room for the engine, the tank, and the muffler,
Right.
rear exhaust muffler.
Whoa. Okay.
Optional.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't want to go that way, you can shorten it probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. You take it down to like 9 3/4 inches or less. Well, no, not less.
No, about 9 3/4, about 9 3/8 is about where most of mine end up.
Mm-hmm.
9 3/8 nose and 14.5 inch or 14. I forgot what it is, 14 3/4 or something tail.
Yeah, I can with a longer nose on it, I can extend the fuselage, move the stab and elevator and rudder and all that back about an inch.
Yeah, then you won't need so much tail weight.
Right.
I hate adding. I mean, if you're going to add nose, you certainly don't want to add tail weight too. I mean, that's wow.
Yeah,
that's like getting a double whammy.
It is.
Yeah, I'd stretch the tail out a little bit too, so you stay with what you got. I mean, you're still. I mean, you know, anytime you add to the length of the plane, nose, tail, whatever, you're going to add a little weight. But I hate to have to put lead back there. That's just.
Yeah, that's just dead weight.
Hey,
Yeah.
having you reconsider the engine.
Well,
And the muffler and the.
I'm going to do the sum of the moments with an electric setup and with an OS 46 LA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty light.
I'd be interested in the electric one.
Yeah, me too.
I'm about to get away from a whole lot of the glow stuff. I went to buy some glow plugs, and Lord have mercy.
Expensive, aren't they?
Yeah. I ended up buying OS F type. They're 4-stroke plugs.
4-stroke plugs. Those are
And
good plugs.
they are proud of those things nowadays, buddy. Woo.
What'd you give? $12 a piece for them?
15.
Well, have you looked at the price of what is it, rhodinium or whatever it is they're made out of?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's up there almost $2,000 an ounce.
That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys tried cleaning them? You know, like in a what's that machine that oscillates the
ultrasonic
cleaner.
Ultrasonic cleaner.
You ever tried cleaning glow plugs with that?
One of the guys at the club does it, and he's convinced it's a good deal.
Well, I tell you what, we used to have a guy that would, we used to take our glow plugs. Tommy and I used to fly glow plugs 50 flights, and then we would just arbitrarily take it out of the plane. You know, put a fresh plug in there because we were convinced after 50 flights you're on borrowed time. Well, Clayton used to take these things, and he would take them home with him, and he'd clean them in alcohol, and I guess he'd put it in the sonic cleaner. But I have seen Clayton take one he'd take a straight pin and straighten the darn thing out in there, and reuse them.
Done that.
I'm about ready to try it myself, but I've seen Clayton do that, and
we've done that for years.
Get a needle. Get you a needle in here.
Clayton was one of the tightest men I ever knew. I mean, I knew that he was tight when I saw him straightening out the wires in a glow plug. But we went to an RC sale. We're all building stunt wagons, and we all wanted that 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch. I don't even remember what it is now, but the big spinner for the front of it. And we all wanted the original metal one, and I can't remember the name of it. Normally, I know all this stuff. Froome. You're right, Froome.
Yeah.
And this guy had 2 of them for sale. He beat me to the first one, which was the brand new one. The other one had been used, but I took it and polished it, made it work. But Clayton's over there. The guy wanted a quarter, 25 cents, and Clayton's over there trying to Jew him down to 15 cents. I gave the guy a quarter. I said, "Here, Clayton." I just gave him a quarter. Well, that takes all the fun out of it. Clayton, he wants a quarter I gave $20 for my first one. And Clayton just looked at me like
50 cents and put it in my pocket.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
he says, "You're crazy giving that kind of money for it." I said, "I wanted the darn thing. It was the only one I could find. I bought it. But it's been on my plane for years. But now I'm building the second one. And I wanted another Froome." Well, this guy, he sold Clayton the new one for a quarter. Wow. Clayton walked off, and the guy just handed me the used one. He says, "Here." I said, "Well, how much you want for it?" He said, "Just put it in your bag." He said, "I just want to make Clayton squirm."
Yeah, show him, right. Exactly.
Yeah, really.
Teach him a lesson.
Clayton was a great guy. He's got designed the Tiyasaki, but I swear to goodness, he was a combat flyer, and he was the tightest son of a gun I have ever seen. But Clayton made his fuel tanks out of an old soup can, or I think they were made out of a beanie weenie can. And then he put a little perfect thing on the side of it, so it would be a chicken hopper. But one of the things Clayton was known for, when Clayton was flying combat, we always made sure we had another circle down there. So when the match was over, Clayton could go down there and fly the other half of his tank of fuel out. Because he didn't know nothing about short tanking, nothing. You only got 30 seconds left in the flight. Clayton fills that sucker up, fires it up, and away you go. He was a mess. But I sure miss him. Lord knows I miss that man. He was a lot of fun.
We had a sale here recently. I missed it, but it was at the Sepulveda Basin, and across the parking lot from us, the RC guys had a sale going, and a bunch of us control line guys had been working on OS Max engine setups for control line. And one thing that we've kind of proliferated is a modification to the old 762 muffler that goes on usually came on like an FSR 25 or an FP 25. But it turns out that if you chop the stinger off the end and you open up the end, cut it away until you get to about 305 thousandths, 310 thousandths, it broadens up the setting capability on the OSLA. And it's not real noisy, and it's lighter, it's smaller muffler. If you listen to a stock 46, you can actually hear the muffler rattle where it's sort of on the pipe, and you may not want that. And so there's one right there.
Yeah.
And so
Bobby Don.
Here's this RC swap meet going on, and my buddy sees a muffler on an engine, and it's a 762 muffler, and he's been trying to find one, trying to buy one. He found one that the guy'd sell him for $30.
Wow.
So he's trying to talk this guy out of the muffler. And the guy says, look, I want $20 for all 4 engines, and that muffler is bolted to the engine. You get the muffler. I want the $20. And they argued about it for a while. He finally sold him the 4 engines with the muffler for $15. He comes back across the parking lot. He asks to borrow my JIS screwdriver. He unscrews the muffler from the engine. He hands the 4 engines to another club member.
He really wanted that muffler, huh?
I used to take the KMB muffler for a
28. Yeah.
And then I'd get the manifold for a 45, which happens to bolt right onto a OS 46. Then I'd modify the muffler and JB weld it, and I put blind nets on the inside so it wouldn't strip.
It was a sweet. You want to see one?
Yeah, weighed 1 ounce.
There's one right there on that plane here.
Oh, we lost it, John. We lost you.
Well, I'm sorry. I can make you big, John. I'm sitting looking at the. Go ahead. So that is what you're talking about there.
Yeah, it's a KMB 28 muffler with a KMB 45 manifold, like Gordon modified, and he fitted the manifold to the radius of the KMB muffler and put some blind nuts inside to help hold it, and use some JB weld swell muffler for OS 40 FP to 40 46 swell muffler.
Yeah,
lightweight. You take the internal baffles out of the KMB muffler, though, just leave them out.
Right.
Yeah. I never could figure out what their thinking was putting those baffles in, because that's the first thing we've always done is taking those things out.
It made it real quiet, though.
purpose
Made
of
it
that
real
baffle-
quiet.
If you think about it like as a tune pipe, the baffle is what counts. So the rest of the volume of the muffler is just quieting. But what counts for tuning is the length of the passage between the piston face and that baffle. So when you just take the baffle out, you've effectively made the tune path length of the reflected wave that much longer. And it may or may not help you. You know, for what we're trying to do, it usually helps. But that's the first thing you're doing. So the second volume is really just a silencer portion.
Yeah. So we cut the back end so much. I've got them that I've taken 3/4 of an inch out of the muffler and just shorten the whole muffler up just to make them not look so long. And then we take those fins that are on it, just cut them down where it's just a tube, and then polish it up where it looks like a piece of polished aluminum or chrome almost.
Are you talking about the OS muffler? Or
OS mufflers. OS mufflers. I've never done a K&B muffler, but OS mufflers are that aluminum soft enough. You can just take a file and in an hour you can have a decent looking muffler. Well, they're not bad looking to start with, but I mean you can have a really nice looking muffler. Now, I've got some. Go ahead.
I've had pretty good luck running a Fox 35 muffler on a LA 46.
Yeah.
I have not tried that.
Yeah, they will fit.
Very good luck with that.
Yeah, they really will fit.
Yeah, the volume of that is real similar to the modified 762.
You might be right.
But the difference is, and the reason I don't really like the Fox conversion like that is because I think the header volume is reduced. So you're kind of pushing it out through a reduced aperture. Which, if it's working for you, great. What we were trying to do was trying to find a way to broaden up the sweet spot so that as guys fiddle with a needle too much or they swap needle valves around, they run them slightly wrong venturi, they're not got the quite right fuel mix, running too big or too small of a prop. Just make the whole thing a little broader. Yeah, so it wasn't so fussy because, you know, we got a lot of guys that come out once every couple of months and they don't want to sit there and lose 3 flights where they're trying to find a needle and then go home and say, well, I'm not coming back.
Nitro, baby, nitro.
That's a real good solution.
Hey guys, I'm going to end this show real quick. Thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. One thing I just want to say real quick, because I thought it is an important thing. David Hull mentioned the JIS screwdriver. I know some people might know about this, some people might not know about it, but the Japanese Phillips is a different Phillips than our American Phillips.
Different pitch.
And so a lot of times we will use an American screwdriver on a Japanese motor, and then our solution is to change it with cap socket screws, because we can't get a good, can't tighten the Japanese Phillips. And this is because we're using the wrong Phillips screwdriver. So for those of you who don't know that, I just thought that was a significant thing when he mentioned that. But I want to thank everybody for coming in, and we're going to end the live stream. I see you, Stephen McBride. Thanks for coming in. We're going to end the live stream now and go into the after party. And so I want to thank everybody for coming in, and hopefully you have a chance to do some flying or work in your shop and come back Friday and share with us what you've been up to. So until then, tight winds and
tight winds.
Hey, what?
Fair winds and tight lines. I'm under the weather. I have a healing coming on, so that's not too surprising.
You'll be
Thank you
all
very
right.
much, gentlemen. I'm going to end the live stream.